Hi guys, it's Jordan from P&P Campers. I'm going to be doing a handover video on this AutoExplore. This is an SB model, and I'll show you what the layout of that is like when we get inside. First off, I'm going to show you under the bonnet. We're based on the 2.2 litre Peugeot Boxer chassis, and this particular vehicle and the last one that we sold has never been used. So even though it's a 22 plate, it hasn't been used or slept in at all. So we've literally just habitation checked it, all went through, no problems at all, as you would expect. So we've got your washer fluid, power steering fluid and engine coolant, brake fluid, engine oil, and the engine oil dipstick just down here with the orange cap. Over on the right, we've got your air filter inside this box. And just next door to that and under this little cover here is a positive terminal for your engine battery. So you've got the positive terminal there and your negative terminal for that just here. So if you wanted to jump start the vehicle, you've got your positive there, negative there. The reason they do that is because the engine battery sits under the floor in the cab underneath this little cover here on the floor. So to save you having to lift all that up and get to the battery there, you can do it just from under the bonnet. And so for the bonnet, I think that's about it really. There's not much to show you other than that. So inside the passenger door here, we've got your bonnet release handle just inside there. You can just about see your swivel seat handle just there, same on both sides, and your jack and wheel brace set is just here underneath the seat there as well. Your diesel filling point is just inside here behind the passenger door. You've got diesel and an AdBlue filling point there as well. So on the sliding door, so the habitation door, you've got a switch just here which is for your step, which comes in and out really nicely like so. And you've got your single seat just here which does pull all the way forwards to make either two single beds or a big double bed. So I'll explain that in a bit more detail in just a minute, but there you go. So towards the back, if I just have a little look down underneath, make sure I'm not missing anything out, which I was going to. So you've got your wastewater drain off point just here. So if you've got a grey waste point, like you can see there, that's always the wastewater. On the other side, there'll be a blue one. You can just about see the pipe over there actually just hanging down a little bit. But yeah, there you go. So that's your wastewater draining point. At the back of the van, we've got a couple of bits I need to show you. So first thing is that we've got your full-size standalone table just here. But the actual thing that I'm going to show you is behind that. So if we take this table out, literally just lift that up and put it to one side. That then gives you the access to your toilet cassette locker. So there's a Thetford toilet cassette. To remove the cassette, we lift up on the little blue tab just down here and pull the cassette towards us. You've then got the ability to drain it out from this point just here. There will be a cap for that as well. So when you're draining this out, you should be holding down this little blue button at the back. You've got a freshwater flush in here, which means that you haven't got any separate flush fluid to worry about filling up. So as long as you've got a little bit of water in your fresh tank, this blue pipe here just basically draws it straight from the pump and uses it as the flush fluid. So nice and easy on that front as well. So if I just show you, pop this table back in. It's a little bit heavy with one hand really, but should be able to manage. Pop that back in at the bottom like that. And then you just push it forwards and use these little clips here to secure the table in place. Another thing that I always really like about these AutoExplores is the amount of storage they give you. So you get all these little sort of cubby holes. This is a little storage bit here. Same down here. And you've got a couple of lockers just inside the back door. So you've got really easy access to that from outside if you need it. Curtains all around as well. So you've got curtains at the back window here. Your proper blinds and fly screens on the rest of them, and the curtains in the front there as well. So as you can imagine, paintwork is absolutely fantastic. As I said, it's not being used, so you know you would expect that, but just thought I'd show you there. You really can see the detail in the paint there. So down below here on the offside is our freshwater drain off point, as I said. So any blue waste or blue drain off points is going to be your freshwater, and that's what it says just there. So we've got your hookup point just inside here. So if you did have access to a hookup cable, really handy to have that plugged in, because it means that your leisure battery is going to be being charged up all the time that you're plugged in. Also means you've got access to using any 240 volt appliances that you might have inside the vehicle, which I'll run through in just a minute. Right, so we've then got the freshwater filling point. So you have got a key to unlock this little cap here, but basically push in and round to the left and it should come out in your hand if it's unlocked, and then you can fill your water up from there. Next door to that, we've got this, which is your Truma boiler vent. So if you've got the boiler lit up, you'll feel hot air pumping out through the bottom. So I'm just going to run you through the cab now, because actually, as for the outside of the vehicle, we're pretty much done really. So the spec in the cab is absolutely fantastic. It's pretty well the highest spec that you can get. So I'll start up here on the, so you've got the steering wheel controls. Generally speaking, it's these Peugeots that have this steering controls. So you've got the volume adjustments here. You can answer and decline phone calls from there as well, because you can connect your phone up to the head unit. You've got the lights and indicators from your left hand stalk here, and you've also got the cruise control function down there as well on this lower stalk. You've got the lock and unlock cab switches here, electric windows, and your electric adjusting mirrors. You've also got start stop from this switch just here, and your headlight adjustments from there as well. You've got the 6-speed manual gearbox, air conditioning from this little center switch just here, and the rest of your heater controls either side. The head unit up here is one of the nice modern ones. You've got the sat nav built into that as well. You can turn the screen on and off from the top left hand button up there. But yeah, that's about it really. The rest of it's all kind of, you know, you've got 12 volt and a USB socket just there as well. So really nice modern cab. They haven't changed these cabs a huge amount, apart from the fact that they now give you a lot of these extras as standard, as opposed to a few years ago when they used to be all optional extra bits and pieces. But still, this particular cab is seriously high spec. So yeah, very, very good. So I'm just going to jump out and then go in through the side sliding door, and I'll show you what we've got in the back end, which is probably a bit more interesting than the outside, I would have thought. So first thing I'm going to run through is going to be your control panel, which is just up here to your left as soon as you come in this side door. But first off, I'm just going to show you that you've got these kind of details throughout the entire vehicle. So you've got the AutoExplore badges, even on the front seats here, embroidered on the front. Various sort of cushions and things like that, even down to small things like on the cushions. Look, you can do it on there. So they put some serious thought and effort into these conversions, and I genuinely really, really like them. Even down to little things like you've got sort of a sensor to tell you when the bathroom light going to come on, so you know that'll come on as soon as you come into the van. Even if it's dark, that'll sense that you're there and the light will come on automatically. So very, very cool. So the control panel just here, as I said, just next door to you when you walk into the door. You've got a few things that I need to run through straight away. So once you've turned the power on just over here on the left hand side, you'll then essentially have access to everything in the vehicle. Please ignore my dirty hand. It's not actually dirty, it's it's old glue, which I can't get off, so don't worry, I'm not getting the van dirty. So once you turn the power switch on there, you'll then have access to scrolling through and seeing various voltages, temperatures, water levels, etc. So the first thing you get to is this one here that says leisure voltage, and that's just, as you can probably imagine, telling us our leisure battery voltage. The next one is your vehicle battery voltage. Internal temperature, you can see it's a very hot day today. Wastewater level. Freshwater, oh sorry, other way around. Freshwater level, wastewater level. Settings, which you don't need to go into really. And then that takes you back to the home screen. if we press this button just here, this is our water pump switch. So if I turn that one on, it comes up there saying pump on. And as long as we've made sure that we've got some water in the fresh tank, which I have just checked up on the control panel, I should then be able to come over to the sink and draw the water through. Now, sometimes these new vehicles do need a little bit of help with the waste. Pump just going to turn itself off. There you go. So what I've just shown you there is the basic principle of the pumps on a motorhome, basically. So you need to make sure that you've got good pressure at your tap just there, like I've just done that. And you need to make sure that the hot and cold water side of the tap is coming through. So doing that just basically proves to you that your boiler is full of water and that you've not really got any major leaks or anything horrible happening in the water system. So turning your pump switch on just there, hot and cold water through the tap, and wait for that pump to turn itself off. As soon as that pump turns itself off, you're up to pressure and you're good to go. The next one is all of our internal lights. So if I press this button just here, all of the internal lights come on and off. So that's this little switch just here in the middle. And then we've got the awning light switch. So it says awning on, and that should then light up this LED strip outside. So if you see, really a good sized awning light just there. So the idea behind it really is that you'd have an awning up on the side there above that. The previous one that we sold, the customer did ask us to fit an awning for them on the side of it. It was a black one that we fitted. You will be able to see that in the previous video if you wanted to. So if that was something you wanted in the future, we can do all that sort of stuff for you here as well. So all the time that you're in this home screen, you'll have an L or a V battery just up there. And basically what that means is that it's all the time that you've got one up there, it's just telling you which battery is powering the back end of the vehicle. So all the time that you've got an L up there in the battery, it means that the leisure battery is powering the back end of the vehicle. You will also get, if you have the hookup plugged in, you'll also have a little hookup symbol there telling you that the hookup's plugged in and working. So that's the control panel. I'm then going to run you through underneath this seat just here. You probably noticed already it looks a bit of a mess in here, but that's because I need to show you what's going on underneath this seat. So I've shown you the control panel, which is how you use the vehicle from the control panel there. But the actual power supply unit itself is this white box back here. So essentially what that means is anything 12 volt or 240 volt comes to this box first, then gets diverted around the vehicle to wherever it needs to go to. So the beauty behind these boxes, they use these in Bailey's and Swift. The beauty behind them is that it's all in one unit. So you've got the 240 volt trip switches here at the front, and then we've got the 12 volt fuses all along the back. Now the 12 volt fuses and the 240 volt trip switches have little diagrams or words next door to each one of them telling you what they all do. So for example, if you look at the back, let's just say the pump stops working randomly one day. Pumps probably are not a good example because that can be down to a few different things. But what you could do is have a little look at the 12 volt fuses at the back, because the pump is 12 volt. And you can have a little look along there and just find the one that says pump. So I can't really see from here myself. You've got toilet pump, toilet/pump there towards the right hand side. So you can go through there and you can basically just pick out pretty quickly which fuse is powering the specific thing that you may or may not have a problem with, and then you can just sort of pretty quickly take one of those out and just double check it. So that's the idea behind that. So this is your power supply unit. Next door to that we have got what's that there, booster. So yeah, this is to do with the battery that you've got. So it's just essentially if you've got a gel battery in comparison to a lead acid battery, this one here can convert the powers and all that sort of stuff. So, but you haven't got to do anything with this box. It's just related to the power supply area. So down below here as well, we've got the water pump. So this is a flow jet water pump. You haven't got to do anything with this at all, and as I said, it will just turn itself off when it needs to turn off. When it gets up to pressure, it will turn itself off. If it doesn't turn itself off, it just means that there's either a leak somewhere or that you're not completely up to pressure, which essentially means that you just need to hold the tap open for a little bit longer to get rid of some air that might be in the system. Right, so next door to that, we've got the boiler, which is this big black unit here. The blue pipe there coming in from the outside is your freshwater filling pipe. And then we've got just down here this really important little yellow tab. So the little yellow tab is the boiler drain off point, and the reason that's important is for a few reasons. If it comes to the winter time and you want to drain the boiler out of its water, why would you do that? Well, because if you let the boiler fill up with water and then it freezes inside of it, it'll expand and you'll get leaks from all over the place and probably end up needing to buy a new boiler. So really important that you drain the boiler out by lifting that tap upright before the winter. If you're going to be using the vehicle throughout the winter, you do not need to drain it out, as long as you're going to keep the vehicle warm enough that this won't freeze up inside. Okay, so really important to make sure that you put that tab back down again when you want to fill the boiler back up again. And to actually fill it back up, all you need to do, put the tab down and just open the tap up with the pump turned on the control panel on the hot side, and just wait for the hot water to start coming back through the tap again. You'll know when it starts to come back through the tap again because it will start coughing and spluttering, and then just wait for it to come through nice and clearly. And then when you turn the tap back off again, the pump will then run on and turn itself off. Okay, so that's how you fill the boiler back up again in winter. I have got another video on the channel just to sort of really run you through how to do that properly in a bit more detail. If you wanted to look at that, you can do. I think it's called winterizing your motorhome or something, but there you go. The leisure battery, I think, is down here underneath this little cover here, and then we've got a couple of you've got a 12-volt socket and a main socket just down there as well. Right, so I'm just going to pop this back down again. So you can pop that back down there. We've then got the backing cushion, which has got, if I just show you, the reason I want to show you this, you've got these little bits here which clip on like that, both sides. And once you've done that, it just stops the cushions from flying all over the place as you're driving. Okay, in this upper cupboard here above the sink, we've got your solar panel controller. So essentially you've got a duo controller in here. Now these are fitted from standard, all right, we didn't fit this. So the duo controllers are really good because it means that the solar panel is charging both engine and leisure batteries. So as soon as we drive this outside, especially on a day like today, the leisure battery and the engine battery are both going to be getting a really good charge from the solar panel. Again, you haven't got to do anything with that, leave it as it is. I just thought I'd show you that's where that is. Right, so I'm now just going to run you through the wardrobe and the gas. So in the wardrobe here, we've got all the paperwork for the vehicle inside this. As you can imagine, there isn't a huge amount of paperwork because it's never actually been owned by anybody before. We've just had any work done that needs to be done to it here. All of the original paperwork for the appliances and things like that and service book are in here, as you would expect with a new vehicle. So that's in there. You've also got all of the original carpets in there and the table leg in there as well. There's a little table that goes just inside there. So basically there's a little table leg holder down there between the two front seats. So you would put this table leg into that with that tabletop, and then you've essentially got a little table for the two front seats there as well. TV aerial. You've got an undoing point just up here, as you can see, and then you can basically just move this TV aerial up and down to wherever you need to put it. It's all wired up. You shouldn't need to move it, to be honest, very much at all. As long as you put this booster on over here, you get a little red light in there, you should then have signal running through to the aerial sockets. Down below the wardrobe, we've got the gas compartment and a little bit more storage as well. So in this locker, you know, they've really thought about how to get the most out of the vehicle and how to get the most storage out of small lockers. So inside the gas compartment, you have also got storage on the left and above it, as you can see. In the locker itself, you haven't got anything to worry about apart from turning the bottle on and off. To turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise round to the left, and to turn it off, we turn it all the way around clockwise to the right. So you need to make sure that you turn the gas bottle off before you start driving. You've got a locker door for that just here. So if I just show you that as well. So the locker door itself, just make sure before you try to put it back on, make sure that all of these are facing upright. You can then essentially just sort of put it in place. Again, much easier with two hands. But you can kind of just get them lined up. There you go. So that locker door is on now, and that's essentially your the way that the gas locker gets up to regulation, so that it's a completely sealed locker with a dropout hole underneath. All right, so once you've got the gas on, you will then have access to using a couple of things. So you've got the 3-burner hob, oven and grill. So you've got an ignition with that as well. So if you wanted to get one of the hobs to turn on, just like any household cooker, like so. Oven and grill, never been used, as I said, none of the vehicle has, but all inside there. So basically, when you want to use the oven and grill, you've got the same ignition switch for those, but push in and round to the right for the grill, in and round to the left for the oven. Underneath that, we've got a couple of gas isolator valves. So basically, there'll just be one of them will be for the cooker, the other one will be for the boiler, because they're the only two things that actually work on gas in the vehicle. So, mentioned about the sink and the fact that you check the boiler's full by drawing the hot water through on the sink there. I will just point out as well, I know that it probably looked like the water was draining out pretty slowly. Unfortunately, with motorhomes, they do drain out a bit slowly, unless you've got really lucky. It's all about the angle of the pipes and how they can get the angles of the pipes down in a good enough way to the tanks. Unfortunately, sometimes with some particular layouts and models, they just can't get the angle on them. If you think at home you've got U-bends and you've got, you know, straight down and all that sort of stuff, you just can't do it on the motorhomes. So they do drain out a little bit slower. So try not to let that bother you too much, but it's just one of those things. You can try putting things down them, but most of the time people find that they just do slow, you know, they're just a bit slower. So the fridge on here is a 12-volt fridge, and you know, self-explanatory really, but when you want to use the fridge, you've got this little switch just here. All right, so at the moment the switch is on, which is why when I open the door up, we've got the light coming on inside. You've then got a little dial inside here, which goes from 0 all the way through to 7. Okay, now that's just essentially just your temperature gauge for the fridge, and as soon as you turn it up above 0, you hear it click and it will just start cooling down. Now these 12-volt compressor fridges, this is your freezer compartment up here, these 12-volt compressor fridges get so cold so quickly. So if you're going to go away, you really don't have to leave this on any more than about an hour before it will be properly cold. Unlike a lot of the 3-way fridges in like the sort of bigger motorhomes and things, they can take up to sort of 3 or 4 hours to get cold. These take a lot less time. So all the time that you've got your 12-volt switch for the fridge on up there, the fridge will work. The only thing I would say is you just have to make sure, and that will still work when your engine's running, by the way, but you just have to be sort of cautious of the leisure battery voltage when you have that fridge on. Now, you've obviously got the solar panel on the roof, which helps massively because it means that all the time that you've got the fridge working, the solar panel is going to be charging up the battery at the same time, so it kind of like regenerates itself. But as I said, it's really important just to keep your eye on that voltage there. So as soon as that goes anywhere down towards about 10 volts or so, your leisure battery needs charging. So if you do have access to a hookup cable and you've got the hookup plugged in, do not worry about the leisure battery voltage at all, because that hookup is going to be charging up your leisure battery all the time. So if you're hooked up on the mains, you can use this forever, don't have to worry about it. But if you don't have the hookup plugged in, you just have to keep on having a little look over here and just making sure that your voltage isn't getting too low. All right, so just turn the fridge off. As I said, you've got that switch just there, and now when I open the door, light doesn't come on at all. So if I just show you that, there you go. So that's all of these appliances just here. So you've then got over here towards the right, you've got a 12 volt socket, USBs, and a 240 volt socket there as well. If you are going to have a TV and you want to use the telly, you've got this compartment inside here. Now this is essentially the place that AutoExplore have, assumed that you're going to have a TV. It makes total sense to have it here. You've got these seats just along here. You've got the two front swivel seats here. So really this is where you want a TV. So the TV would go inside this cupboard. You've then got a 240 volt plug switch, 12 volt, and your aerial socket just inside there as well. So the last appliance I need to run you through is your boiler. So you've got the Truma iNet Ready boiler system in here. So if I just run you through how that works, what you've essentially got, if I just turn it on, I'm just going to get into a little bit more comfortable position so I can show you. So let me just turn this all off quickly. Right, so all the time that you have the sort of controller here on, it's going to be trying to tell you what it's doing. And if I just sort of explain that explain that a bit better, all the time that you're hovering over something, it's going to be flashing. Okay, so you can see which one you're sort of hovering over. If I click on this one just here, which is our heating, which is basically a little camper with a temperature gauge inside of it, press on that, it's now currently off. So if I scroll up, it starts on 5. Now we've already seen over there that it's about 27 degrees inside the vehicle, so I'm gonna have to turn this all the way up to 30 to get that to come on. So that is now switched on. Okay, that's our heating. The one next door is our hot water. Oh, sorry, I just scrolled over. The one next door there is our hot water, and that is also now off. You can turn it on to eco, hot, or boost, and that will then start heating up the water. The next one over is our energy selector. So we've got gas, mix 1, which is a mixture of gas and electric, mix 2, which is a mixture of gas and electric, but a bit more electric, electric 1, and electric 2. So the electric is when you're hooked up on the mains. If I try to select this now, electric 2, it will not work because the electric hookup isn't plugged in, and it's giving us a fault code straight away. So I do have to select gas, which once I've done that, it will light up and it will start heating the van up and getting the water hot. All right, so if I want to turn the heating off, I click on that one there, all the way down below 5, turn it off, and then do the same for the hot water, off. Now, what I meant when I said about it's trying to show you what it's doing all the time, if there's nothing on the top of this, above that line that you can see there, if there's nothing being displayed there, the boiler is 100% off. Whereas if I put the heating on, or put the hot water on, and then the screen goes off, all the time the water is being heated up, or whatever is happening with the boiler is always going to show you what's happening at the top of that little screen. Okay, so you don't have to click into it and go into all the settings and all that to see what's going on. It will tell you what's happening straight away on the top of the screen. Turn it off. And now there's nothing there, so the boiler's completely switched off. So that's how you use the boiler, nice and easy from the Truma iNet Ready system. Now you've also got the factory fitted microwave up here, Russell Hobbs. The paperwork for that is inside. This is a 240 volt appliance, so it will not work unless the hookup's plugged in. Right, so the last thing to run you through is going to be the bathroom. Now I don't really go into much detail in the bathrooms because they're so easy to use normally. You've essentially got a hot and cold tap for the shower just there, and the shower head comes out from the top just there. The toilet cassette, I'll just show you the sink first. The sink is exactly the same, apart from the fact that you haven't got a drain in the actual sink itself. So to drain it out, you literally lift it up and it will pour down the back just here, and you've got drains either side of there, so it will drain out through here basically. So that's how you use the sink. The toilet cassette, the actual cap for it is just inside this bag because it's brand new, never been used. But the flush button is a blue button just there, and that'll pump the flush fluid around inside the toilet bowl. To drain into the actual cassette itself, we pull this little handle here to the right, that opens up the cassette flap, and then you pull it back to close that flap back over. There you go. So you can then pull this door all the way across, like so, and that's it. So I think I've covered everything. If I have missed anything out, or you want anything else going over, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.